In this third presentation on conversation analysis, I'm going to talk about adjacency pairs. Often in conversations, things come in pairs. When we ask a question, usually we expect an answer. When we invite somebody, we expect them to either agree to come or refuse. When we ask for advice, we expect advice to be given. When we say hello, we expect somebody to greet us back. So greetings are responded to with greetings. Questions are responded to with answers. When we have conversations, we're not just talking with others, we're doing things with others. We're accomplishing things through the conversation. Now, these things that we're accomplishing could involve exchanging information. That is, it could be transactional. I could say to you, how's your dog? And this could be a request for information. Or I could say to you, how's your dog? Not because I want the information, but because I care about you and I know it was upsetting you and I'm trying to build a relationship with you by showing that I care. So how's your dog could be meant to be friendly. How are you could be used as a greeting, a way to be friendly, or it could be used because you really want to know. It could be transactional. It could be about getting information about somebody's health. They said, hey, I'll go shopping with you if I'm feeling better. You phone them up and you say, how are you today? To find out if they feel like going shopping. In either case, either transactional or interactional, we're doing something or we're trying to do something with others. When we undertake to do something with others, our undertaking often puts demands on the others. When I ask you a question, it demands an answer. When you sneeze, it invites God bless you or a Gesundheit. So some different types of adjacency pairs would be questions and answers, greetings and a return of the greeting, and invitations and acceptances or refusals. Take a look at this conversation here.
Can I have a bottle of MICH?
Are you over 21?
No.
No.
In turn 1, A asks a question, can I have a bottle of MICH? But in turn 2, B asks a different question. So what we have here are the initiation of two different adjacency pairs, one of which is embedded inside of the other. So turn 1, can I have a bottle of MICH, is answered in turn 4 when B says no. Turn 2, are you over 21, is the beginning of another adjacency pair, which is completed in turn 3 when A says no. So you can see how this adjacency pair worked. Can I have a bottle of MICH? No. Are you over 21? No.
Have to cut these, Mummy. Won't we, Mummy? Won't we?
Yes.
Even a child understands that questions demand answers. The child in this conversation asks, have to cut these, Mummy? And then there's this 1.3 second pause. The child's opened up an adjacency pair, but Mummy hasn't answered the question or responded, so the child does it again. Won't we, Mummy? Again, opening up an adjacency pair. 1.5 second pause happens here. The mummy still hasn't answered, so the child asks a third time, won't we? And then the mummy says yes. Greetings are a kind of adjacency pair. In this conversation, and this is an example of a real conversation, one I could imagine happening at a university, in the quad at Bishop's, for example. Person A says hello, but person B says hi at the exact same time. Those two lines represent simultaneous utterances.
Hello? Hello?
Because A and B were talking at the same time, A doesn't hear B's response or hear B saying hi, and feels that their greeting was not responded to. Adjacency pair, completing an adjacency pair is polite, so B has done something a little rude in A's opinion, and A shouts hello to emphasize that an adjacency pair has been initiated here. In the first conversation I talked about in this video, there was an adjacency pair. A says, "This is Mr. Smith, may I help you?" When you give somebody your name, that's the initiation of a different kind of adjacency pair. The response would be to give your name back to them. Or sorry, when somebody gives you their name, the correct response for you would be to give your name back to them. In this case, A says, "This is Mr. Smith, may I help you?" And B avoids participating in the adjacency pair by saying, "I can't hear you."
This is Mr. Smith. May I help you?
I can't hear you.
This is Mr. Smith.
Smith.
So this is the conversation that started it all. It opened up the mind of a beautiful professor named Harvey Sachs, who died before he could do more than begin his conversation about conversations. This is the suicide hotline conversation I mentioned at the beginning. Adjacency pairs have preferred responses, and here B is actually avoiding the preferred response. A says, "This is Mr. Smith, may I help you?" The preferred response would be to give your name back, or for B to give his name back. B avoids the preferred response by saying, "I can't hear you." When we ask a question, there's a preference for agreement. We talked before in pragmatics about politeness and positive face and negative face and face-threatening acts. Disagreeing with somebody is a face-threatening act. If somebody said to you, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" they've told you what response they expect. They expect you to agree with them. They expect you to say, "Yes, it's a beautiful day." Agreement is usually the preferred response. One way, so people have to do something special when they want to give a negative response or a dispreferred response. They either avoid it or they use mitigation strategies when giving a dispreferred response. For example, let's say I said to you, "Hey, why don't you come on up and why don't you come over and have lunch with me sometime?" The preferred response would be to say, "Yes, sure, sometime." If you didn't want to come over and have lunch with me, you'd probably use some kind of you'd probably avoid the topic or mitigate it somehow. How would you avoid the topic? I say, "Hey, why don't you come on and have lunch with me sometime?" You might say something like, "I'm really busy these days," or "I don't make it into Lennoxville very often," as a way of avoiding giving the response. Or you might say, "I'd really, really like to, but..." And that would be another way of mitigating a dispreferred response. So when somebody asks a question, gives an invitation, or something, any kind of adjacency pair, there is usually a preferred response that goes with it.